Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Possibility podcast with Ulster University Business School. I'm Wendy Austin, and in this series we've been diving deep into the world of business in Northern Ireland. And now that we seem to have a light at the end of the tunnel, we're moving our focus from how businesses have been staying afloat to how innovation and an entrepreneurial spirit are helping us along the path to recovery. And while there have been many positive steps in new business creation here, studies still show that men are 3 times more likely to start their own businesses as women. Well, we can't have that, can we? So we're going to take a look at all of that today. Seriously though, why is entrepreneurial activity that much lower for women here? What role is Ulster University playing to help empower the next role of entrepreneurs? Well, let's find out about the wonderfully named So She Did programme and hear from an inspiring startup story as well. We have a great panel with us today. We have Chris Shannon, who's Student Enterprise and Entrepreneurship Manager at Ulster University Business School, and he's involved and they work through the Ulster University Students' Union as well. Leona Donaghy, who's founder of Wholehearted Home Improvements, and Gabi Burnside, Entrepreneur Acceleration Manager at Ulster Bank. So you're all very welcome to the podcast today. Great to have you with us. And I must say, I'm really looking forward to hearing all of your various stories. But let's begin, if I could, with some background into the entrepreneurial ecosystem, if I could put it like that, here in Northern Ireland. Gabi, maybe you could tell us about that. I know Ulster Bank's been very involved in it for quite some time now, about why it's important and what impact it has on the wider economy.
Absolutely, Wendy. I suppose that the really exciting thing is that the entrepreneurial ecosystem is absolutely thriving in Northern Ireland at the minute. There is a huge range of support from accelerators like our own universities, funders, councils, and so much more. So with all that fully funded support, funded accelerators, opportunities, grants, there really has never been such a good time to be an entrepreneur in Northern Ireland. As we're all aware, sort of good relationships are key in any industry. And I suppose throughout the last year in particular, with the ease of this sort of new way of working and I suppose understanding that significant unprecedented challenge that entrepreneurs have had to face over the last year and a half, a collaborative approach between all of us in the ecosystem has been absolutely key. A rising tide floats all boats and I suppose we're really focused on that as an entrepreneurial ecosystem. I think that one of the main challenges now for entrepreneurs is really understanding what support is available and I suppose at what stage is it right for their business to make sure that we are really maximising that journey for entrepreneurs. So the startup to scale up journey and really putting them on the right road for that. As an entrepreneur, I know we'll hear from Leona later around that, but you know, you're wearing lots of different hats whenever you're doing it. So really having that support and breaking it down and having that opportunity like the So She Did programme to actually assist you on that journey, help you with support, entrepreneurship, mentor, advice, all the rest of it. It really is key for our entrepreneurs and really developing that whole ecosystem. In terms of the impact for the economy, they're UK wide, and there's 1.4 million SMEs that are responsible for 45% of the turnover, which is obviously a huge amount, and I suppose something that we really have to nurture and take control of now. And I suppose within the accelerators, within the sort of mentorship, within council or government advice and funding, we really have to take responsibility for that and bring it into a place where we can really nurture all of our startups and bring them into the scale up space. As you alluded to, if female entrepreneurs added the same amount of value and sort of started and scaled new businesses at the same rate of men, we would be able to add an extra 250 billion worth of new value to the UK economy. So it is absolutely key for us now. And I suppose from the bank's point of view, it is something that we have looked at tackling over the last few years, and we are really key and focused on it now and really providing support through many, many different ways. So the impact is absolutely huge. It's really exciting and a real pivotal time as well, I think, for our entrepreneurs.
Gosh, it's huge money you're talking about there,
Yeah.
250 billion as an addition, isn't it? I mean, even in normal times, I would be asking you about the barriers facing those interested in starting their own business. But after the last year, I must say, I'm in awe and admiration of anyone who's managed to start something new in the middle of all of this when most of us have hardly shifted from within our own four walls.
Yes, absolutely. And I suppose that's the thing, it's been a challenging year, whether you're an entrepreneur in employment, doing whatever, I suppose, over the last year. Although I suppose with this challenge, we've seen incredible opportunity. And entrepreneurs have pivoted business ideas, identified new sales challenges, it's allowed more time for people to put that effort and attention into what may have been a side hustle that was taken up through travel or anything else. So there has been huge opportunity along with the challenge, and it's been a real privilege to witness, I suppose, some of the changes and sort of things that the entrepreneurs have done over the last year. However, that being said, there obviously are huge challenges and barriers to entry still. We still have a clear disparity between the female and male entrepreneurs. The Rose Review identified that, and I suppose one of the key barriers to entry for female entrepreneurs that we're actively working on at the minute is the lack of funding, being the one main barrier mentioned by female entrepreneurs. So far, only 1% of all venture funding goes to businesses founded by all-female teams. Obviously, with the perceived bias within this UK venture finance community, it is a concern, and it is something that we are all actively working on to address and overcome. Alongside
It's
that,
great to see that there are some of the
yeah,
VCs who focus specifically and
yeah,
exclusively on women's businesses as well, like Mary McKenna and various
yeah,
others, which is nice to see too.
absolutely, yeah.
So she did. What a great title for a program. I just think it's brilliant. Chris, tell us a bit about it, how the idea came about, the kind of support that you offer. I mean, your figures have been terrific. 9 new venture creation workshops, 400 engagements, 100 hours of alumni mentoring. Fill all of that in for us. Tell us about it.
Sure, no problem. So she did came about as a result of a successful bid to the Ulster Bank fund. Myself and the team within UUSU Enterprise Centre always work quite closely with the business engagement team within Ulster Business School to provide and promote lots of different opportunities for our students. And we were one of 3 organisations back in just when the world was about to go into lockdown who received a grant from Ulster Bank. And so myself and the program team, which consisted of Naomi and myself from the UUSU Enterprise Centre, and then Leslie McGrogan and Nick Reid from the Business School, we spent our summers in lockdown, our summer in lockdown, designing a 100% remote online program that could take ideas and enthusiasm and turn that into a business in 8 months. But also, of course, one of the challenges was we wanted to try and build a community of female entrepreneurs within Ulster University, but we knew that we may not actually see each other in person during the whole duration of the program. So we put a lot of effort in looking at other best practice, seeing what we could do and what we could bring to Ulster. And that resulted in, as you mentioned there, a program that had a series of events, workshops and interventions. I'll give you a little taste about what some of those were. So we had our launch event just in September as we kicked off semester 1. And Eleanor McAvoy came along to tell us her story of her entrepreneurial journey. Eleanor was the entrepreneurial ambassador for Northern Ireland at the time. We also had some Ulster University alumni, Sarah McAnallen and Lindsay Rooney, come along and tell their startup story as well. And this really stimulated enthusiasm and inspiration amongst the community, because that resulted in going from 200 attendees to an event to 50 registrations onto our core program for So She Did. And that core program consisted of, as you mentioned, 9 new venture workshops, and we wanted to do something different. We found that there's a lack of confidence on what a good idea is, or how do you find a good idea. So we really wanted to put a lot of effort in at the beginning and focus on opportunity spotting. How do you spot a good opportunity, and how do you come up with a solution that might solve a problem? We'll hear from Leona a little bit later on, but Leona's case is a great one about how do you find a problem that you're uniquely positioned to solve. And that's how we kicked off the program, and how we took enthusiasm into an idea and then into a business. So over the course of the program, of course, it's never just a one woman or one man band. We had input from organizations across the ecosystem like Ulster Bank. We had over 20 organizations come in and speak actually through our workshops. They included, Social Enterprise NI, Enterprise Northern Ireland, Invest NI, and local enterprise agencies, and also startups. So we had Trimedica who came in and talked about their startup story. It's a female-founded medtech startup within Belfast. But I guess to give you a little bit of taste of the other elements, Wendy, we had a buddy system. We wanted to try and really build those relationships, even though we were going to be looking at each other on a screen rather than in person. We had alumni mentoring, so Alumni Relations worked with us to have over 40 mentors from our alumni community give back time and expertise to the participants on the program. We had expert mentoring, which wasn't just a consultancy. We had lawyers writing legal documents for our startups. We had designers creating brands for our startups. We had accountants working on business plans and financial projections. So it wasn't just about talking, we were actually about doing. And that's what the whole Associate program was about, was turning those ideas into action. I'll not go through everything. I'll leave a little bit for Leona to tell about some of the other support. But as you mentioned, yeah, it was some great statistics coming out and great stats. So over 400 female graduates taking part. Our youngest was 22 years of age. Our oldest was 65 years of age. So we had a broad range of participants, of ideas, of solutions. We had 21 new businesses created, and we had over £36,000 in revenue generated just in the first 5 months of 2021 by these new businesses. So yeah, hopefully that's a bit of an overview, and I'm sure Leona can fill us in on the impact that she's had too.
Well, I must say that all sounds fantastic. I suppose it's time to find out if it does what it says on the tin, isn't it? And we're delighted to have you with us, Leona. I know that your company isn't actually trading yet, but Chris was talking there about finding the really good idea and having the confidence to pursue it. And when I see what it is that you're doing, building kind of healthy buildings consultancy, giving advice to people, helping them make their homes healthier. Well, goodness me, what a good time to be doing it when we've all had the last 15 months to find out what's wrong with where we've been stuck for that period of time. So tell me how your idea came about and how you've progressed from there then.
Yeah, absolutely, Wendy. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. It was kind of a series of synchronicities, I think, over the years, and culminating to the point where I got an email about Associate program. And like Chris had mentioned, he encouraged us to sort of see which problems we were uniquely positioned to solve, in his words, I think he just used. But like looking at things like the Sustainable Development Goals and things, and I just kept coming back to a problem that I had saw like 10 years before in my work with people living in fuel poverty. I saw lots of problems, and they had lots of mold and things in their house, and we were just focused on making the house warmer rather than, and the whole thing was to do with health. So I was like, but if we're sealing it up and there's moisture there, there's definitely problems. Like, we haven't looked at ventilation, and it wasn't, I didn't know that much back then. I was learning, like gradually learning over the years. And then I ended up coming back to Ulster. This is my third time back to Ulster University. I did environmental science before, and then a master's in research, which was linked to looking at climate change. And this third time back was I was in School of the Built Environment, really looking at energy efficiency. But I had never forgot about this mold, kind of what I'd seen in those houses. And so I started to really research into the area of indoor air quality. And I didn't realize just how vast it was and how many problems there were. It wasn't just moisture, it was everything that you bring into the home. And then obviously during the pandemic, people are spending so much more time at home. And it's just like, gosh, people need to know this, because like Northern Ireland, the rate of like people with chronic health conditions and disabilities is really high, and we've got high humidity. We're in a really like we have an old housing stock as well, and people are like, people are renovating and retrofitting, which is good, because that is the greenest house, is the house that's already built, like as most people know. But you know, there's just a danger of, if you only focus on the green agenda, you totally miss the point. Like, buildings are here. The reason why we heat buildings is for our health, to keep us warm, to keep us healthy. So it all came about during the PhD. I got this email about the business thing. And even at the time, I wasn't 100% sure this is what I was going to do. But I think it was like, so she did sort of sparked it, because I remember having a conversation with Chris and saying, like, could I be the best? Like, I've got all this knowledge. Like, can I was thinking, oh, business has to be like, I have to, like, I don't know, start a food van, or like sell stuff on eBay or something. I didn't think like I could be the service, you know. So he kind of inspired me to keep going with it, and through that program, it just escalated like onto lots of other things. I met so many wonderful people, really inspiring people, and it's just been like a journey of kind of learning about business. And yeah, I've learned loads.
I mean, I've got to say, you couldn't have come up with this at a better time, really, could you? You know, I mean, I think until all of this happened, most of us had never given a nanosecond's thought to ventilation within our home. You were keen to keep the drafts out. You know, if you lived in a drafty building, you were sealing up all of the drafts, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're wearing our coats in the house because we've got to keep the windows open because we want to keep the virus at bay. So you know, people have really woken up, haven't they, to the fact that you need to have some kind of fresh air in your home and keep warm at the same time. So you know, this is an idea whose time has come, it would seem.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually another good point about the pandemic. Really put ventilation on the sort of on people's minds, and also lots of like fantastic conferences around the world. Everything's been online. You can attend everything, and even if you register for it and can't attend it, you can catch up. So like, it's been, I don't want to say it's been a great year, because I know it hasn't been for everyone, but it's been fantastic for kind of getting that message out about ventilation. And also like, it's the right time now. People are so focused on their homes and everything as well, with being, you know, having been resting in place for so long, a year and a half. Yeah, I think it is the right time. And there's never, what is it, it's always the right time for the right thing, isn't that it? So it always had to be done, and it just feels like the synchronicities have come together. And yeah, like, really glad to have got on the program, be here to talk about it.
Gabi, it must gladden your heart when you hear something like that. You know, I mean, it is the case that, you know, there are ideas whose time comes, and it all just sort of comes together. You know, when you're looking at trying to encourage more women to start businesses and to have really good ideas, that's a great example, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think, Leona, you hit the nail on the head. It has been a difficult year, but obviously opportunity has come out of that as well. And I think that is the important thing. You know, opportunity does come from wherever, and it's really important to capitalize on it when you have the idea. And I suppose even share your opportunity, share your learning, share how you came from it. So I think, you know, platforms like this that will encourage and inspire other people, I think, are really key too.
So, Chris, in addition to the So She Did program, as if that wasn't enough, because it sounds like it's going gangbusters. What else is the business school and or the university doing to give people that confidence to start their own business and develop that entrepreneurial mindset?
Lots is the short answer, but I'll go into some details. So the business school provides a suite of different top provisions that help our university community and our students and graduates to build confidence in that entrepreneurial mindset. You know, an example of that is that most recently, in response to the pandemic, the business school has launched a suite of postgraduate courses, you know, in order to help the people reskill and rethink how they approach problems with an entrepreneurial mindset. And many of those actually participated in So She Did. So they joined the university on a free postgraduate course to reskill and develop new skills. And there's 3 or 4 now that have a business, you know, at the other end. They joined as someone who's maybe been made redundant and they're leaving Ulster with a business. Some of them trading over 10K in 5 months. So, there's lots of that within the curriculum. And myself, within the UUSU Enterprise Centre, we provide a suite of services and opportunities beyond the curriculum, and we categorize those into 3 areas. And that is developing new skills, exploring ideas, and launching new ventures. And we have a suite of different programs within those and opportunities. So developing new skills, for example, we have the Young Enterprise program, which allows our students to dip their toe into the water of entrepreneurship in a safe environment. That's a structured program. For those who maybe don't have a knowledge of business or experience in business, it allows them to develop some new skills. In exploring ideas, we have our enterprise placement year that we launched this year, where we have students taking a year out of their degree to test an idea for a year with support from Employee Building Careers and ourselves in the Enterprise Centre. And then launching a new venture. So we have UU Start, which is our program that is wrapped around the support within the local ecosystem. And we complement what already exists outside of the university and make sure that we're making those recommendations and referrals at the right time.
In a strange way, has the fact that, as Leona mentioned, actually, the fact that we have all been working on screen for the last year, has that been quite helpful in an odd sort of way? Because you can speak to people that you would never, ever have expected to actually see popping up in your living room and giving you advice, or, hearing a talk from them or whatever.
Absolutely, Wendy. In our case at Ulster University, for example, we have 4 campuses across Northern Ireland, and in a normal year, we would be, within the Enterprise Centre, we multiply things by 4. If we do an event on our Belfast campus, we do it on our Magee campus, and so this allowed us to bring actually students and graduates from all campuses, from all aspects of Northern Ireland, whether you're in rural Armagh or you're in the city centre in Derry, Londonderry. They were all able to participate in the one programme, and that allowed us to build a community that would be very hard to build in a normal year face-to-face, because it would encourage, it would require travel, would require everything else. So for us, it's meant that we were able to do this at scale, and we were able to really maximize the impact of the program that we wouldn't have been able to do in a normal year.
Yeah, I did an event for Ulster's School of the Built Environment last week about Belfast, and we had speakers from New Zealand, Seattle, from London, and from some other part of the United States, at a weird time of day, because one of them was 5 o'clock in the morning and so on. But in real life, you were never going to have the 4 of them standing in the middle of any one of the 4 campuses. So it was terrific. When we look at the whole startup business, Gabi, you talked about the startup and the scale up, and actually those were the notes that I wrote down here, because the startup can sometimes be the easy bit, can't it? The scale up is a whole new challenge, isn't it? And I wonder, what about the kind of help and assistance that's available to make that kind of leapfrog jump, which is sometimes required?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose we would say, with every sort of stage of the business, there's new challenges. So every time you overcome one challenge, you always enter into another one. But again, that's, the sort of joy of entrepreneurship. You keep progressing, keep moving forward. And I suppose there's so much support available from Ulster Bank perspective for those people looking to sort of find out the nuts and bolts of really how to start a business and how to sort of get really along those lines. And then we have our 4 specialist accelerators that really take you to the next stage. I suppose surround you with like-minded community, give you that mentor support, just give you that access to the network that you need. And obviously within Northern Ireland, there is this sort of lovely atmosphere in the entrepreneur ecosystem that people want to help, they want to give back, and they do. And that's one thing that we really see benefits everyone, people who have been on the journey. Chris mentioned Medica earlier, so they've been through our program, and obviously now from the stage they're giving back and helping entrepreneurs who might be slightly at the start of their journey and really developing on. So I think it's all about that support, and knowing, I suppose, what stage of the support you need to be at, and really just diving into it.
What about you, Leona? Have you experienced that that mentoring, that kind of support, and the other companies that want to help and want to give back?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been blown away actually by how like kind people are, how generous they are with their time. Through this program, I've had was assigned a mentor by Chris and Naomi, and so she did, Yasmin Geddes, and she has been amazing. She's like 100%, like if you need her, ask her anything. She's like given me a whole different look on what, I guess whenever you just, like I say, I've just been taken step by step, but she's made me see like that there's possibilities to grow. She's sort of like telling me, just like, don't limit yourself, and sort of inspiring me. And she's like, we're still linked in together, and like she continues to be in touch. Like I keep thinking, oh, I'm kind of stealing her time, but she's so happy to like give me so much. I mean, book recommendations, just everything she can think of to help. And other business owners, like people that are coming through the programs as well. Because after So She Did, there was a 6-week boot camp Chris had put me on to as well, Entrepreneur. I've met people in there. And onto the BEA, the Belfast Enterprise Academy. I have got so much support from them as well. I got like, I don't just mean like someone to talk to. I have had like web designers designing website for me. I have they put me in touch with an accountant to talk about like business setup, and a solicitor about like legally how to protect, write contracts and stuff like, and lots of social media training, and like just basically all kinds of like digital marketing things that really are specialized. And I had no idea I was going to get all this help. I've just been, like I say, just blown away. I thought I would have to do everything on my own. I thought maybe I'd go to a few classes and my head would be spinning, and I'd maybe never, get it off the ground kind of thing. But no, definitely, like I've got to this stage now where it's like things are starting to really happen, really take place. And like I've done my first kind of survey and stuff to do with, under my business name. So like,
So when are you hoping to actually get the business going? When are you hoping to trade?
well, I need to, because mine's is an education piece as well. It's going to be a wee bit slower because people don't actually realize that they need my business. Which, like, it's great I don't have competition, but at the same time, I have a lot of education, so like that's where I've been putting the work into, and that's why the marketing and the media, the website should be up and running in the next week or two. Touch wood, and it's going to be fantastic. So, well, like technically, I suppose you could say I'm trading because I am actually doing like work for a client now at the minute, but it's getting more clients, getting the word out is really going to be the thing.
How's the PhD going?
Yeah, that's the thing. Trying to balance your time between everything. And I have like a teaching course as well. I'm doing at Ulster as well, outside of that. So yeah, there's plenty to keep me busy. But like you were saying about the pandemic, the thing is you're saving like traveling time going around, and also like you can talk to people you never thought you would get to talk to. Like you just, LinkedIn has blown up and become such a resource. You just reach out to somebody, and people, like the worst you're going to get is like probably not a response. Like I don't think they're going to come back and say, no, I'm not going to help you. I've never had anyone say anything like that. But I saw a really good TED talk on about rejection, was 100 Days of Rejection. And I watched it and I thought everyone setting up a business should watch that, because it's sort of, it makes you realize that like you should actually go and seek out rejection so you get used to it, because you'll never actually succeed if you don't like sort of toughen up to it kind of thing. So yeah, it's been a journey.
Most people love to be asked for a bit of help, and are more than willing to give it. But as you say, I'm sure there are a few frogs out there too, and it's good to have the armor on to deal with it. Chris, I wonder, how is that role of entrepreneurial education helping to support students and position entrepreneurship as a positive career choice? I mean, is that maybe easier as a result of what's gone on over the last year than it would have been previously?
Well, I definitely think that entrepreneurship is considered more of an option, more of a viable option than it maybe would have been, 4 or 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. And in terms of entrepreneurial education, so like the business school does a lot, has a quite a strong reputation actually for embedding that entrepreneurial education into the curriculum, so in the classroom. And during my 4 years at Ulster, the number one source of new ventures has actually come from modules that have allowed our students to innovate, to ideate, to actually do, which actually, that experiential learning, that learning by doing is a core part of an Ulster University degree. And that's really where we see a lot of the positioning, I guess, or the first taste of entrepreneurship or what it means to be entrepreneurial. For example, we've got the product design course where you actually have to, you're tasked with coming up with a solution to your a problem, and you actually have to design it. There's the interaction design course where their whole final year is based on coming up with a commercially viable solution and building the spec for that, the technical requirements. Business studies have an enterprise development module where they have to actually figure out how you can spot a viable business opportunity. And there's software engineering who have to actually build an MVP for as part of their modules. So that's where we see that entrepreneurial education is actually, learning by doing, by tasting it. And that really provides an opportunity that translates into enthusiastic participants in our extracurricular programs that come through to our programs outside of the classroom. And then that creates, students and graduates who can actually create their own job rather than have to search for one. So all of these entrepreneurial interventions within the classroom, outside of the classroom, across UU really encourages our students to see entrepreneurship as a positive career choice.
And Gabi, on a practical level, for those who are thinking about developing a new venture or a business idea, what kind of expertise, and we've talked about it, I suppose I'm looking for a kind of wrap here so that they can have a real takeaway with them, expertise, support, advice. What can we offer now and what can they expect to get?
Absolutely. I think I suppose the main thing from our point of view would be all of our expertise and everything comes into the accelerator. I would say to anyone, surround yourself with like-minded people. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, and it is tough. You have to be resilient. You have to really focus on your mindset. I think is absolutely key. Have that growth mindset, be open to rejection, and I suppose take that constructively and learn from whatever sort of failures or feedback that you might get. And I suppose be comfortable. Being uncomfortable is one of the key things. You have to put yourself out there and know that you believe and are really passionate about the product or the service that you're developing or delivering. And I think from that, the passion comes out and the work, and obviously so much goes in behind it. But from our point of view, it's really that just that commitment to what you believe in and really going for it. And obviously we do have an accelerator to support with that. So having that community and that network to really come around you and be with you and help you learn and give you that feedback and have that water cooler chat will really help you along your journey.
Leona, if someone's watching this and has been inspired by what you've been doing over the last while, what couple of pieces of advice would you give them?
I think really when it comes down to like anything to do with business, it's really like self-belief. And I've been lucky with my mentor, like Yasmin. She's Geddes Break the Silence Trust, so she's really like a mental health advocate. I met her. Also met other like Katie Matthews. She's like kind of growth mindset. Lots of people that really inspire you to, inspire self-belief kind of thing, where they kind of go like, this is how things happen. And seeing, like you said about Trimedica, different people, like I was at the IOD Women's Conference, I met Women in Business events, Awaken Hub, hearing other people talk, you're just like, wow, they inspire you. They make it they really tell their story with warts and all, and they say, like, it's difficult, but you keep getting back up and look at what you can achieve, and it kind of, there's some steps ahead of you, you think, well, like if they've come through that, I can come through it. So yeah, I wouldn't be put off if everything doesn't seem like it's perfect. Don't get caught up in the minutiae like that you can do about, oh, should I set up this, because you can get like put off very easily. And I think join programs take every opportunity. Like, I hadn't realized until Chris said I basically took every opportunity, because why not? Like, at the end of the day, if the things are there, especially for women, like if you say like there's less women setting up businesses, I think maybe society has given like young girls an idea that they have to avoid risk, where business is kind of all about risk. I think it's maybe about kind of setting aside those worries about what could happen, and just think like what could happen. Like you have to take calculated risks and just keep putting another foot forward, and kind of surround yourself with good people. I think it's at the 5 people you spend. There's a saying about that anyway. They're the most influential people. If you can meet other entrepreneurs, that's the way to go. Get talking to them, like share ideas.
Good advice, I think, there. And Chris, I could see a big beam on your face at what could happen. What could happen? I mean, that's it in a nutshell, really, Chris, isn't it?
Absolutely. There's many unknowns, and you don't know what the path ahead is going to look like, but you'll not know until you take the first step. And I think that's exactly what Leona was saying there. It's an adventure, and that's what we're here to get the right starting point, to come off from the right start to that journey. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You just got to do it to see what happens.
And there are people watching this, maybe they're already at Ulster, or maybe they're thinking about going, or maybe they're going in September, and weighing up the various options, and maybe over the summer they have a terrific idea that they think could make a great business proposition. They come looking for you, and so she did, do they?
Absolutely. Well, the first port of call would be to the Ulster University website, so ulster.ac.uk/enterprise, and within that webpage, all the support that we have available is nicely put together there, and my email address is there too.
Well, that's fantastic. I must say, I've really enjoyed talking to the 3 of you. Totally fascinating. The very best of luck, Leona, with your business. Gabi, thank you so much for all of your expertise from Ulster Bank. And Chris, thank you very much as well. This has been So She Did, Championing Female Entrepreneurs, a Business of Possibility podcast from Ulster University Business School. I'm Wendy Austin. The next time we're talking about postgraduate study, Leona's inspired us to do that, and your business. So stay up to date with the Business School on social media, and thank you so much for listening today.